Welcome to episode 34 of the Rectangular Table. I am Grant Brisby.
Of the rectangle.
Yeah, I am here at the Rectangle, at the winter meetings, in person with my good chums, my baseball idiots, Marc and Andy McCullough. How are you doing? Let's start with Marc. Marc?
Just enjoying the rectangular table.
Yeah.
Today, Grant. This is real nice.
I'm looking into your eyes right now, and I'm seeing the depth.
The depth. I got corners on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's a rectangle.
And this is exciting because Andy was telling me before we went on that he has some news to break. So,
What?
Andy, let's break some news.
Yes.
Please.
I can exclusively report here on the Roundtable that Charlie Morton has re-signed with the Atlanta Braves.
There you go. My
1 year,
word.
$20 million. You heard that here first. Charlie Morton, back to the Braves.
Outstanding. All right. Well, no, we're not breaking any news here. That was a good answer to my bit, but we're here to talk about the moves. Carlos Estevez has signed. He's signed. He's off the board.
Boy, it's got to have a major impact on the rest of the market.
Yeah.
Wait, all right, whatever.
No.
Come on, who?
He signed with the Angels 2 years.
Oh, right. He's the guy from the Rockies.
Yes, his fastball. We can spend 45 minutes talking about like Coors, the effects on his slider.
Could we?
Probably.
We're going to try.
Probably not. All right.
We're going to try.
No, I guess we're going to start by talking, Verlander, DeGrom. Verlander was the big one today.
Well, as all the fans know, on this podcast, we did correctly predict Jacob DeGrom to the Rangers. Or the Giants.
Or the Giants.
Whichever one we said. No, it's interesting, right? Well, what we did talk about kind of came to fruition was the idea that the market for DeGrom from the elite teams is going to shape up to be around 2 to 3 years. If a team like the Rangers wanted to win the bidding, they were going to have to go 5. And the Rangers have demonstrated a willingness in the past, year or so to kind of go a little bonkers. They gave $500 million to Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. And so who was going to be willing to go 5? It was the Rangers. So, shock and awe type of spending. 5 years, 185 with an sort of option that can get it to 222 for a guy who made 11 starts last year. It's a crazy bet. But it's the sort of thing that if you're the Texas Rangers and you want to sign the player, this is what it costs.
Didn't we talk about the opposite of optionality?
Right.
Last week, and this was it. They were painted into a corner. And then they began, and really the process began last offseason, right? When you go all in like they did, and then the results are what they are, there really is only one play here, and they did it.
Right.
And, you can debate whether that was the right thing or not, but boy, that is a lot of risk for a guy that, has struggled to post, frankly. So it's I get why they did it. I kind of feel like they're painted into a corner. And we were talking about optionality. This is the exact opposite extreme.
Did I miss something before last offseason where the Rangers came in so hot and heavy with Semien and Seager and now with DeGrom? I remember the Rangers trying. I remember the Rangers spending a little bit. I don't remember the Rangers just shooting both 6-shooters in the air going yeehaw.
So remember in 2020, when we started checking our phones and getting all this really scary news.
Yeah.
So during that year, the Rangers planned to open a new baseball stadium. And then they couldn't put people in it because of the pandemic.
Okay.
So they were setting up for this, right?
Okay.
They were setting up hey, we're gonna move into the next phase of the rebuild. We're gonna start spending, and then they have no revenue. Right, not no revenue, but the idea of drafting off the revenue of the new stadium as being a way to to supply that.
Right.
And so it was okay, well, we got all this money, we opened this ballpark, we got to give people a reason to buy tickets, and so that's where Semien and Seager come from. And then it's all right, we got all this money, we opened this ballpark, we got to sell tickets, we got Semien and Seager, we got to keep going, right?
Yeah.
That's how you get to that point.
Man, I just became an alcoholic. I thought that was expensive. Right? Now they're doing something different. They're spending on baseball players. No, actually, when you were telling me this reminded me that we talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
We have.
My shock and surprise. I should write notes on.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Mark doesn't listen to the show when he's not on it, but you at least are on the show, so you have less of an excuse.
I'm well known. I'm the glue.
Yeah.
I am the glue. I'm
Yeah.
the glue. So what do you think about DeGrom being out and Verlander being the instant, like, Mets go out and say, no.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about optionality. The Mets felt very compelled to respond right away, right? Like in the minutes after, like DeGrom went to Texas, they were contacting folks, being like, basically, we got $40 million burning a hole in our pocket, and they found the easiest way to spend it, which is on Justin Verlander.
It's like
right.
It's like what Mets fans always thought the Mets should be.
It is what the Mets should be.
Yeah,
like it is what the Mets should be. And from an actuarial standpoint, right, a 2-year deal with Verlander is a much safer bet than a 5-year deal with DeGrom, even with Verlander's advanced age.
Yeah.
And they're getting a player who, while he may not have the sort of aesthetic peaks of Jacob DeGrom, posted far more often last year.
Right.
Even after, elbow reconstruction that cost him 2 seasons. So, like, it's not, you don't want to say like it's a net positive for the Mets. It's close. It's basically a wash.
Right.
But it is a, I don't know. It's a quick answer to what would have been a pretty serious hole in their roster building, right?
And it's also just money. I mean, like, all seriousness,
Steve Cohen is so rich,
and it's 2 years, and it's just paid this guy a lot of money, right?
Okay.
Like, and so it was pretty simple, a very simple thing. Whatever is this, like the Paw Patrol breakout? Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jake from Zaboomafoo.
Yeah,
like, what?
We're being visited by the Cespedes Barbecue gentlemen.
Us.
Does this mean I have to learn which one to use Jake and which one to use Jordan?
Not
know,
quite
it's
yet.
really annoying.
I just wanted to come by and give a compliment. This is the only baseball podcast I listen to regularly.
Oh, that's so sweet.
This is the one that I tune into the most. Not the whole feed, like you three guys.
Well, the youth of America.
Put this
is
out.
flawed.
This is good.
Put this on the iPod or the Apple reviews where everyone says I'm an idiot who knows nothing about baseball.
Yeah,
yeah, they
put this on the
crush you.
Snapchat or wherever the
they're
kids.
right.
Now, I was listening before, and I heard a joke that Grant made about Carlos Estevez, and my first thought was, neither Mark nor Andy know who that is.
No, that's not true.
Of course, he coaches the Mighty Ducks. Got drunk, community service, changed some lives. I know who it is.
Carlos Estevez.
He doubted you.
Andy, do you want to get that Apple podcast review off your chest?
No,
Seems
it's
like
fine.
there's a specific
It's
one
fine.
that comes to mind.
No, it's if I read the reviews for the first time. Woo.
Yeah.
They called us like giggling idiots or something.
Well, that was a good one.
Yeah. The guy said, like,
not wrong.
he was like made very clear he thinks Grant is great. Like, Grant is really smart. And he was like, but Andy McCullough is like a moron who knows nothing about baseball.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's the character I'm playing on the show.
We're all playing our part.
Yeah.
That seems fair. Me, Grant read that review and was like, that's a shame about Andy. I'm killing it.
Oh, how are
You guys doing okay?
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
a Capri Sun or something?
No, I would love, honestly,
Sure? I'll put some Barney on for you.
honestly,
sing some
that's a
songs.
little far. Capri Sun sounds awesome right now.
Jordan is engaged.
Yeah,
He's like an adult.
Congratulations.
You met my fiance. She's
Yeah,
great.
she's
And
very
she thought you were
nice.
great. She's actually, and she's also left an Apple review in real life saying, I like Mark.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
But Andy's a fraud.
It's true.
No,
It's
that's
true.
we were just saying that. It's like these jokes, like they're starting, like you guys are, you're not pushing 30 yet, but I mean, you're like you're grown men. Like,
Yeah,
look
no,
at you.
not
You're all grown
quite
up.
there, but we this is the 10th year that we've done it. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of
Wow.
us doing baseball things together. So that's the thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Chris Cotillo's like 45 now.
I know. The turning
Time
point.
moves fast.
Can I tell a quick story about Andy? This is
Please.
the turning point in my season for
Please.
me. So I walk into the Yankees clubhouse one day, and I'm wearing something a little too aggressive.
Oh, is this the day you were dressed up like Bruce Springsteen from 1984?
And Andy walks up to me and he just goes, "You're peacocking," and he walks away. And that was it. And in that moment, I knew that I needed to just rein it in a little bit. I just needed to, dumb my own self down just a smidge. And without Andy just playing J.K. Simmons whiplash level mind games with me in the clubhouse, I would never be here today. So, Andy, from the top of my heart, thank you.
No problem. If I had a symbol, I'd throw it at your head.
Yeah, see, I mean, there's nothing like an Andy McCullough negative reinforcement moment to
Yeah.
like straighten out your day. So that's nice.
Master of that.
Yeah.
As long as we're sharing stories, at the 2016 World Series at Wrigley Field, I walked
I know
into
exactly where this is going.
I walked into the bathroom, and it was the men's bathroom. It was totally empty, except for Jake and Jordan
Right
next to each other,
So-
like at the urinal. So we had like 10 empty urinals, and they're just like straight up, like not like one urinal buffer.
We were like, Grant, join us.
Yeah,
And
it
you were
was
like, no.
It was cult-like. It was cult-like. I'm glad
I
you're
think-
okay. I'm glad you're okay. Like,
Yeah,
I've gotten
well-
to know you since then. It's
But I would just say about that, right? I mean, we're always we can't take a break. I mean, we're always on. You know, we're always talking about baseball. We're not gonna take a break. I'll sometimes, you know, we will spread out a little bit more and really make sure that whatever our baseball conversation is having is being spread across the entire bathroom. In that case, we kind of kept it to 2 urinals.
We are sleeping in 2 separate beds.
but they're bunk
for
beds.
They are bunk beds. We didn't stack them.
Yeah.
Before we go, what was the best part of everyone's day? The best baseball-related part of everyone's day? Was there a moment? The winter meetings are flushed with just bizarre happenings. Howie Kendrick is here. You know, like I saw Bo Porter is here. You just see these things. You see these people who operate a very small portion of your brain. And Mark, for you as someone who has not been to a baseball game since the Bush administration, I'm curious what struck you today. What will kind of stick in your mind from day one of the winter meeting?
Just to be clear, Bush was the president before Obama.
Right.
No. He was the president before Clinton.
Right.
Yes. So
right,
anyway, I'm
right.
glad that I'm participating in the Kidcaster edition of this episode.
Yeah,
and-
we're getting the reviews. The Kidcasters are
Yes.
great.
Yeah, they're awesome. Bring them back.
Oh
More
my gosh,
Capri Suns for everyone.
what enthusiasm they have. They
Yeah.
haven't had the life beaten out of them by
Punk
doing this
ass
and realizing
assholes
they have
for
nowhere else to
trying.
go.
Yeah.
Did you have a good part of your day or no?
No,
Is that
I
what you're telling
did.
us?
I mean, my best part of my day is watching Pulitzer Prize winner Carlos Baerga wipe the floor with everyone in his
Yeah.
lobby.
What are we doing?
Can we talk about that for a quick
Sure.
second? Because I love that we all agreed, all right, I guess he was first. And then we just kind of, was there any further exploration as to why? Or are we just being like, yeah, Carlos Baerga, you got it. Happens.
He was first with something last year. It was the A's trading Matt Olson or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
he broke something with the A's or something last
But he
year.
also said that Freddie Freeman was going to sign with the Blue Jays last year. So,
Is he just throwing darts?
I-
He's messing
but
with us?
he's not just throwing darts if he said Verlander 286. Like he said that, right?
Yeah.
That's what's super bizarre about it.
All
There was
right.
chatter among players that that's what the deal was going to be. So I assume that that's how it got to Baerga's level as the players were talking about. Because players actually they're the big product of the game. As you guys all know, we are. Thank you for coming on the
Yeah.
only pro labor
Only
baseball
pro labor
podcast.
Finally,
Finally, someone
Apparently,
will
the only
stand up.
pro child labor podcast too.
and with that, thank you all for listening. You can listen to Baseball Barbacast, our podcast, wherever you find your podcast. Gentlemen,
Yes.
have a phenomenally.
Which, as Jake said, is not as good as this one because he's certainly not listening to ours. But thank you guys. This was delightful.
Bye,
Mark,
gents.
you'll have a whole new round of material for us next time.
It's actually nice to have people on who've had more podcasts canceled than Mark and I. So that's good.
That's true. No, we're 1-1.
No,
You had one.
we had 2 canceled.
Oh,
we have
so
2?
We had 2.
Oh no! My podcast with Pedro was
Oh
canceled.
yeah, they whacked.
So you got
his
2?
nuts.
Yeah,
He's-
2.
Oh
he's
yeah, we
over
got tons of work to
All
do.
right, hey, you got a lot to learn.
They just keep me going, man.
Love it.
That is fun. I like those two gentlemen.
They're so polite.
Yeah, they are. They're nice young men.
They've
Yeah.
come a long way.
Yeah, no.
They've
yeah.
come a long way.
I wish
Yeah.
they'd edge my lawn a little bit better though. Lazy.
Oh my God. You
What do we got?
on
All right,
fire with those.
Grant,
Yes.
how you feeling about Aaron Judge? Where you at?
Ooh.
Oh,
Where's your
gosh.
headspace?
That's a good one.
It is. I'm still stuck on Yankees. Like I think he's going back
Yeah.
to the Yankees. I think if he wants to stay there, they'll make him a competitive offer. But honestly, the Trey Turner deal coming in at 11 years.
11 years.
11 years
Woo.
makes me think that it's going to be goofier money and years for Judge than we're thinking. And we already were thinking goofy years and money. And I'm the Yankees aren't guaranteed to go goofy. I just
Right.
it's the new austerity's been hyped up a little too much. So they did sign Garrett Cole. They are willing to spend a lot of money. They're still kind of the Yankees, but they're not the Dodgers, which is weird to say. Like they're not, I don't think they're just going to blow it up for Judge. I don't know. Like it's 60-40 with 60 going back to the Yankees. That's right.
What do you think, Mark?
I think he's going back to New York. I mean, I think
But do you,
he's a Yankee
but
for
do you
life.
think that the point you made about Turner though? That's kind of I don't know. Do you think that
Well,
that
okay, so Turner gets the 11-year deal.
Yeah.
Right. you figure some of this is that AAV thing. We spread it out.
Right.
Like, that $300 million was about the neighborhood he was going to get, and they just.
It's a little high.
I mean, Tim Britton, who's done a great job with his free agent projections. And if you guys haven't seen him, check him out. Like, he had the Verlander deal pegged like at $1 million over under. I think he had 2 for 87. Okay.
Right.
He's had but a bunch of
yeah,
these,
yeah.
like where he's like been really close. And so when I was looking through his logic on Turner and I saw the number today, I'm like, you know what? That 11 years is just to be spread out to make the
Right.
AV hit a little luxury tax hit a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Because,
right.
you know, if it's really an 8-year deal and like you have to like DFA him or whatever at the end of that, well, that's sort of the bargain that you make. And it makes a lot of sense because by the time you get to like year 7, year 8, spreading that money out makes a huge difference as far as what the cap is in the future.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I understand the sort of the point you're making because it is an AAV play,
right?
For
Isn't
the
it?
Phillies,
Like, that's what my
right?
first
But
thought.
it's still 11 years, $300 million,
right? No, sure,
right? So
sure.
like if you are Aaron Judge's reps, you know, you can say, well, why are we settling for 9?
Right.
You know, like the thought with Judge for a while is that it would take at least 8, obviously, right? Because the Yankees offered 7. Okay, it's going to take 8. And then, you know, Ken Rosenthal reported coming into this is probably going to take 9. Well, based on how this market is going, like, could it get to 10?
Yeah, that's
You know,
what I'm wondering.
I mean, it could be an 8 or 9 year deal
Same yes.
that goes to 10 or 11
I was
on
just
an
gonna
AAV
say that
play. And the Yankees are the sort of team who they've made those types of deals. LeMahieu is a 4-year deal that's spread out across 6, etc. But I don't know. That could delay things in terms of getting it done because, you know, you wait to see if you know, another team jumps in. I mean, there's got to be a third team in there. There has to be. It can't just be 2 teams.
Would you call this a mystery team?
Well, it's not a mystery team. One of them's the Dodgers,
Yeah,
right? But what the Dodgers are offering is a mystery.
Right.
You know, the Dodgers are in this weird mode. Not weird mode. It's the mode they're normally in, where they're just waiting out all the markets.
Yeah, you made that point about Friedman today, and like you know, and whether and I thought it was a sharp point because do you adjust when you like you've talked about this market, and it's like you can't just operate, you know, the same way when we're seeing something that's very different right now, right?
Right. Yeah, I guess the thought is if the market is maybe more irrational than you're accustomed to, does that make patience even more valuable, or does it make it like a detriment, or are you just like missing the point? You know, like if you're looking at all the deals and being like $40 million for Zach Eflin, you know, like $12 million for Mike Clevenger, like let's just wait. And then all of a sudden you look up and all the players are gone. Right? I don't know. That's the calculus that they're going through all day. But like, you know, Dodgers are in on Verlander. They were in on Verlander. They're in on Correa. They're in on Judge. They're in on Bogarts. You know, the Swanson, blah, blah, blah. They're all these guys. You know, Nimmo would make sense for them. But it's almost always under Andrew Friedman, it's at their price. We will do this at our price. And they always have the luxury of saying no. The question is, will they come off that? They've given no indication that they're going to suddenly change the way they operate. You know, they won 111 games.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you covered them.
Yeah.
You understand how they think. If you had to handicap it, Andy, do you see a deviation here? Or do you see them sticking to their guns and playing this how they typically would?
I mean, the one time they've deviated off that strategy was in the winter after 2016. And they brought back their 3 big free agents in Justin Turner, Kenley Jansen, and Rich Hill. But all those deals were for 8 figures. None of them were in the 9. You know, the richest of those deals was Justin Turner, I think at 464. You know, so we're not talking about getting into a 7, 8, 9-year pact with a guy where you're paying for all of his 30s, right? These were short term, even for, well, no, Jansen's was more than that. Sorry, excuse me. Jansen's was like 5 for 80 or something like that. But anyway, they're not paying for, you know, the entire decade of a player they don't really know. They've never done it.
Yeah,
they've never done it in this time of year with the level of aggression that is required to get it done at this time of year. They certainly have the financial capability. They certainly have the openings on the roster, But you're going to hear a lot of teams say we're trying to be opportunistic at this time of year. The Dodgers actually live by that,
I think the main difference between the Dodgers and a lot of teams is that if the Dodgers roll into next season and their biggest acquisitions are Shelby Miller, Jace Peterson, and Jordan Lyles, everyone will go like, they did it again. Jordan Lyles is going to have an ERA
Right.
of 2.9, but they will still be like a 100-win team, 105-win team. They will still, as of right now, no Judge, no Nimmo, no Swanson, no whatever. They're still the favorites in the West. So maybe that fits into their strategy or their patience.
Yeah. I mean, they always have the luxury of saying no. Do you want to talk about optionality? They are the number one purveyor of that philosophy in the sport. Andrew Friedman learned it from Stu Sternberg. It's like the guiding core of what they do. Never be in a position where you have to do something. And so what it creates for their fans is like frustration, right? Because it's like, okay, well, I would have done 2 for 88 for Justin Verlander if that's what it would have taken to get him. But they clearly don't want to pay him $44 million, which okay, they don't have to do that.
I guess with them, you have to factor in the luxury tax. They'd be paying 60, whatever the percentage over.
I mean, Steve Cohen says is going past the luxury tax. So yeah, it's more. It's more than yes, there are factors in there, but the first threshold of the luxury tax, which is what the Dodgers would be bumping up against, is not that.
No, I didn't know they were first timers.
Yeah, the Mets are an interesting spot because they're gonna get past the third luxury tax while again, as the only pro-labor podcast, we should say that the billionaires can afford to pay these things.
Darn too.
But that's when the penalties start to get pretty gnarly after the third threshold.
Yeah, I can see what you said about painting yourself into the corner, and that's the guiding principle of the Dodgers. I feel like the Giants have painted themselves into a corner with Aaron Judge, who, again, I don't think they're the likeliest team to get him. But I think if the Giants come away with Carlos Correa and Carlos Rodon, their fans will go, okay. Right. But that's about it. It's Judge or bust. I've got my ear to the ground.
I'm curious. This is appealing to see your history of the Giants, your sense of history for the franchise.
Sure.
I remember they were halfway out the door to Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Who do they go out and get right after the local conglomerate keeps them in San Francisco?
Yeah, that's Barry Bonds.
Kevin Mitchell.
That's a miss.
No?
That's a miss.
Yeah.
But so is there they're not the exact same situation, obviously, but I think in both cases, this is a franchise that was in desperate need of something.
Yeah.
Right? At that point in the franchise's history, for much of the 80s, they weren't very good. They had that pennant winning team. They made the playoffs in 87, but they weren't consistently good. And frankly, Candlestick was a tough sell.
Yep.
Had been for a long time. The Giants always projected they just needed a spark, and hence when they signed Barry Bonds, I think it changed really the trajectory of the thing. Are they in a moment like that now?
It's a really interesting comparison. Look, Bonds was, I think, 27 when he signed. He was the best player in baseball. He'd done it for longer. It was a little bit different, but it was still a statement signing. It was still very much hey, we are here. Hey, come out and watch this baseball team. We are not going away. We are right here, darn it. And it's similar in that respect. And I think it's something similar now where attendance is down. You have a statement signing would make a big deal. And do you know who was second place for Bonds?
No.
The Yankees. And it was the difference of a year. The Yankees didn't want to add that extra year.
The Yankees wouldn't go past 5 years and 35 million or something.
Right.
What did Bond signed 6 for 46 or something like that?
It was the biggest contract at the time, but let me see.
Less than Andrew Heaney's going to get?
Well, now there's a camera on me, so people are actually watching this. But Giants sign Bonds 1992.
And I feel like they got other guys in that later on. Darrell Hamilton, I want to say.
40
was that off season, right?
No, that was the 90 before the 97 off season.
Okay. That's not even close.
Yeah, but so it's $43 million in Bonds. Deal's average annual value was $7.16 million. surpassed the 7.1 deal that Ryan Sandberg had gotten. The year
Progress.
before. Yeah. So yeah,
Progress.
that is it's when I have a picture, like a framed picture, like the deal makers, where it has like Nancy Pelosi's there, Dianne Feinstein's there, Willie Mays is there, and Barry Bonds is there, and like all of a sudden it's like the Giants, man, the Giants they're back, baby.
You can get the whole band back together.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You know,
right.
for the Judge signing.
We've already done that bit. You think that who would it be now? I think all the power brokers they've moved on, they've moved up.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you don't feel good about this?
I mean, like, I have to be realistic.
You're painting a real like scary picture, like there's like a lot of pressure on them to get Judge, and they're not going to get Judge.
I just don't think it's up to Judge. Obviously, I mean that's not like breaking news, but it's really where he wants to be.
Right.
But it's felt like everything, and it's not just the Giants putting this out by saying, "Hey, we can afford anyone." It's also just the media putting it as a 2-horse race for the most part, with the Dodgers maybe sneaking in. That has fed it, and you have just a lot of fans who will be disappointed if Judge is not the guy. It's like in one of my articles I wrote about my friend who was just like, I need a Nintendo for Christmas. I need a Nintendo for Christmas. I need a Nintendo for Christmas. And he came, and under the tree was this rectangular box, and he tore it open. It was an Atari 7800.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it might feel if the Giants don't get Judge.
If they get Carlos Correa.
Yeah, well, I was using it for Brandon Nimmo. Like if they get Nimmo,
Well, but like okay,
he's
but
like a Sega Master
so you
System.
can argue. We can get into like the real like nerdy argument about like Judge versus Nimmo, like how much of the WAR difference is. But there, it seems like the Giants are in the market for a face of the franchise.
100%. They want people to care and go to the games for this reason.
Right. But in this market, there's really only two guys who really fit that, I think.
I'd say just one.
I think it's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Carlos Correa is a
one.
fantastic player. Bogarts is a fantastic player. Like they're going to be worth the money or close to it. But there's one guy that you can make like someone who doesn't care about baseball slightly curious about baseball. The person who's slightly curious about baseball
that's a different
very
argument,
curious about baseball. The person who's kind of into baseball, really into, it's like it levels up your fandom.
I mean, Bags wrote something last season that I thought was super interesting about the fan experience at the park.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how it gotten kind of stale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. I was just like, that's kind of harsh. But then as I thought about it a little bit more, you know what? They kind of have. Like, I mean, you could say that about the franchise as a whole in some ways. That like, and I know they're not far off from like a great season, right? I mean, I know that.
I do think in terms of what brings fans to the ballpark consistently, winning baseball games.
Yep.
I think there's plenty comparison between Judge and Correa if you're going to bet on the next 10 years with each guy.
Yep.
So it's not even a question for the Giants per se, because again, this comes down to what Judge wants. But I think it's an interesting sort of debate. If you are the Giants, do you want to sell a ton of season tickets or whatever the day after you sign Aaron Judge? Or do you feel like maybe your team is in a better spot getting a younger, at a more dynamic defensive position player with the same sort of, if not, he's not going to have a 10-win season. Most likely he's not going to hit 62 home runs, but Carlos Correa is going to be a really good player for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Like, is there the value in that? Does that in the long term make up for the short-term disappointment of not getting Judge?
Well, we talked about this kind of last time. When it's framed that way, I think Carlos Correa, to me, when you talk about making a bet on somebody sustaining their level of play for, a bulk of whatever contract he's getting, I think he's a great bet to do it. He's one of the smartest players in the sport.
Yeah.
He knows himself better, knows his game better than most. And so if we're looking at, is this a safe bet for someone to be good for a while? Absolutely. I would agree with that 100%, but I would still agree that when we're talking about that star factor aspect of it, like sometimes the world changes and so many things stay the same. Aaron Judge is 6'7". That guy stands out anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Like sometimes he's just massive. He's huge. And like, you want to see how far you can hit a baseball. Like, it's that simple. The power, the size, the distinctive nature of this person, his presence, and that stuff can't be understated too. But, to your point, Andy, I mean, Carlos Correa, terrific.
I would say that my response, yes, you're both correct that if you're talking 2027, 2028, who am I putting a sawbuck down on having the better season? Correa. Out of all these guys, any pitcher, it's Correa by a long shot. I don't think that the current front office of the Giants should care one whit about 2027 or 2028.
What should they care about?
2023, 2024, and maybe 2025. Like, just can we? Because you don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. One year you're the Tigers and you're losing 13 games, and then the 3 years later you're in the World Series. You know what I mean? 1 year you're the Astros and you've got the butt slide and you're the joke of baseball, and then 3 years later you're the Astros and you're starting this dynastic run.
Yeah, but they're not tanking. So they don't have a wave coming.
No, but I'm just saying, who knows? Maybe you come up and you do have a wave in 3 years, or you don't, and you should be tanking. And it doesn't matter if you're paying Judge $50 million or $80 million because you suck so bad. Or because you're so good and your prospect wave has arrived. I don't know. I think it's more about the present for the Giants and that kind of defibrillator. I've never said that word out loud before. Defibrillator.
I think what we're talking about. I think defibro. Yeah, I think what we're getting at is kind of the stuff we talked about with a little bit with the Rangers, right? Of like the pressure, right? Because the Giants need to make a statement, right? They need to change the conversation about their team. They need to find a face of the franchise. All these things, and then they're still probably like the third best team in the division.
Yeah. Yep.
That is a tough spot.
Yeah.
And that's just life in the National League West.
Yeah.
Right. As you know, I wrote last year, the Dodgers run never going to end. It's definitely not at risk of ending at any moment. As we've all written, like the Padres, anyway, I'm tired of doing that joke.
No, but it reminds me of Krusty the Clown when he bets on the Washington Generals. He's like, I could never do. Like,
yeah, but I just like I feel like the Giants, right? They land Judge, which would be like an incredible thing for their franchise, and then there's still so much to be done to catch up to the Dodgers, let alone the Padres, who aren't going to stop. The Padres are just not going to stop. Like, an executive described it to me as long ago, like AJ Preller lit a stick of dynamite, and the rest of the industry is just amazed at how long the fuse is, because they just keep going. They just keep pushing money, prospects, all this stuff that the industry tells you can't do. The Padres just keep doing it. It doesn't even always work. Right. They didn't make the playoffs last year. Right. They won 89 games this past year, and if they had lost to the Dodgers or they had lost in the wild card round, right, it would have been considered like a not a disaster, but a bit of a disappointment, right? And they just keep going.
They traded Trey Turner for Will Myers. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They just it's just that's like a relentless sort of force to compete against, in addition to the behemoth in the Dodgers, right? Like, it's just really, I think, like, it underscores how really significant the challenge that Farhan Zaidi undertook when he took over the Giants. Like the fact that even after years of work, and even after that like sort of miraculous season in 2021, there's still like such like a boulder in front of them. It really underscores like how difficult that job is.
Two boulders in front of him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
yeah.
The Padres were like, there was a report about, they're in on the shortstops. I'm like laughing. I'm like, how many? Are they like starting pitchers that you can never have enough starting shortstops? Now you don't have to play with shortstop, right? Like, but it's just, yes, like the AJ Preller thing, sort of like the abandon in which he's operated. That is another boulder, right? So you have the Dodgers, who are this powerhouse, you have the Padres, who just keep pushing in. Yeah, that's a great point about Farhan. Like, that is brutal.
It's like it reminds me of the Blue Jays when they had to
Sure.
try and keep up in that arms race when it's Red Sox, Yankees,
Yeah,
Red Sox,
yeah.
Yankees. It's possible. I mean, the Rays have shown
Right.
it's possible.
Right. Well, and you look at the Blue Jays now, right? Like, why are they competitive? Homegrown core.
Yep.
That took a while to build, augmented with good, seemingly pretty good eye on free agents. You know, like George Springer has been hurt, but when he's there, he's George Springer. You know, the Gas Man was really good, you know, this past year. Like, but it's built around homegrown core. That's the thing that the Giants don't exactly have. They've been trying to build their, you know, maybe theoretically some of these guys will be ready and during the lifetime of, you know, the early portion of a Judge, Correa, whomever contract. But like, it's just hard to microwave it. You know, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think for any team, for me, I want to see what Bogarts gets because now that I've seen Turner do 11, I think Bogarts has the potential to be the sneaky best free agent as far as, you know, he's not 35. He's not Carlos Correa. He's not young, but he's like right in that middle where he's been healthy and good for a long freaking time.
He's the best hitter of that group.
Yeah.
Then why
like
does
him
it
a lot.
seem like the Red Sox want nothing to do with him?
Yeah.
I don't want to tell tales out of school. I have no idea what the Red Sox are doing.
You could tell we're not, like we're kind of in school. You can tell a tale here if you know something.
Well, like because I think it does not really make sense.
It's like
right?
they've been standoffish with this.
Yeah,
guy.
it's
bizarre.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Are they like saving up for Devers? Why would you need to save up for
I
Devers?
don't know.
I think it'd be neat if they still had Mookie Betts, to be quite honest.
Oh man,
You know?
here we go. Did you know they could have signed John Lester? Yeah, it's weird. Like I think the Red Sox to me feel like a team that is just in between on everything, right? They kind of like, or you know, they don't exactly know what it is they want to do, who they want to be. They were able to make the playoffs last year because they still have this sort of leftover really good core from the 2018 group. You know, they made some sort of canny moves to augment it. And then when that core has gotten older, you know, split up a little bit, JD Martinez is not, you know, a total monster, et cetera, et cetera. They faded this past year. But it just seems they seem caught in between.
Well, I mean, the Boston Red Sox are grousing about getting beaten up in the market for Zach Eflin.
Yeah.
Right? Was like, you know, we couldn't compete with the Tampa Bay Rays for Eflin. And so, you know, the standoffishness or whatever you want to call it, that's sort of played out between them and Bogarts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't understand that at all, given how great a player this kid is. And
yeah,
you know, like, I think
Well,
and he's going to get rewarded for it, by the way. The
especially
entire industry will tell us, you know.
For a fan base that, you know, like is still obviously upset about the Betts thing, and we don't need to relitigate that. But like, okay, we're gonna just live it again. Like we're gonna let another homegrown guy go. Like that, I don't know. Maybe they'll win the bidding, right? Because the market for Bogarts is kind of weird right now. It seems like, I think it's gonna take a little bit longer to shape up. Knowing how smart I am about this, he'll probably sign before this podcast posts. But like for me, like I would watch the Dodgers on Bogarts because I'd be curious to see where he ends up. But I don't know. Like I've yet to talk to the Red Sox. Just don't make a ton of sense.
I'm just looking at the 2018 roster on Baseball Reference. They won 108 games.
108.
Which is a lot of wins. They won the World Series. And they have in this lineup, Xander Bogaerts, 25 years old, Rafael Devers, 21, Mookie Betts, 25, and just for good measure, Andrew Benintendi, 23. How long do you think that team's going to be good for? How long do you think that core is going on if you're a Red Sox fan? In 2019, before the first pitch of spring training, you're looking at this roster, championship memory just a few months ago, you're thinking this is going to go on forever. Forever.
Yeah.
And so just trading Betts is wild enough. We don't have to relitigate that, although I'm always up for it because I'm mad at them for that. But just in general, like I feel like they can't lose Bogarts. Like Bogarts and Devers, they can't lose either, to me, from the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets back to the similar question though with the Giants. Like, okay, you can't lose those guys. But what else? What else are you doing? They're not good enough with them.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's
like
true.
It's not as simple as you need to keep them. You need to get better. You need to find a way to get back into the conversation. It's the toughest division in the sport by far. by far, especially now that the Orioles, like, we'll see how real the Orioles are, but like they're pretty good.
They have a lot of young
they
talent.
have a lot of young stuff coming, right? Like, we'll see if they're legit. The Blue Jays are legit. The Yankees, for all of the agita about the Yankees, they're gonna win 92 games or more next year, right? For all of the Raysian ways that the Rays do things, right? They're gonna win 87 or more next year, right? Like, so the Red Sox, it's not as simple as like we need to re-sign those guys. They also have to get better.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I just I don't know. They frustrate me. The White Sox also frustrate me but that's a little bit different situation because that is a winnable division. I don't think the Guardians are very good at what they do. But they're not. Oh gosh, how are we going to?
It's not the
Guardians.
Astros. They're not the Astros.
But I will say they're going to get better, right? The Guardians just by having just playing more, right? Like, you got this young team that they're going to get better, and like God knows they're going to just keep churning out arms.
Maybe they're the mystery team on Judge.
Yes,
they should be.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I want Trent to tweet out the Reds miss out on Aaron Judge. Did you see that when DeGrom signed?
No.
Trent puts a tweet out that says, "Up, the Reds missed out on Jacob DeGrom." That's it. No it was hysterical. Perfect.
I remember when the Tigers signed Juan Gonzalez and Maglio Ordonez, different offseasons, but no one expected them. Let's get a little weird.
That's what the Rangers are doing.
I guess
to make it full circle, right? Like, the Rangers are getting weird.
Yeah.
Like, they're swinging long bombs away, like, they're making it for the fans.
Long bombs away.
Yeah, that's a good reference.
I don't know.
Oh, so good.
All right.
This has
been fun.
This
live.
Has been,
you guys enjoy this? We have an audience. Our podcast producers.
Is this live? Is this? Yeah, we have producers watching us.
Are we streaming? Where is this? Is it on Twitch?
Is this streaming or is this going to get uploaded? Is it going to get uploaded into the cloud? I don't even know what that
Producer
means.
Brian is letting us know.
Like, wait. Why do you put the air quotes around cloud? Cloud's real.
It's
there's the thing.
It's a bit now.
Oh,
I'm just old.
I thought you were making a reference to something like
I'm
that.
mid-40s. I'm halfway to 90 now. I get to say things like that. Yeah, are you doing math, Andy?
Oh no, I wasn't listening. I had sort of spaced.
Fair enough. All right.
I'm getting hungry, to be honest.
Yeah, this has been episode 45 of the rectangular table with black cloth over it.
Nice.
I'm Grant Brisby. Thank you for listening. I can actually reach out and touch Mark and wave at Andy. This is different. There's no dog on my lap.
No dog, no cat for me.
Yeah.
No Rosie for Mark.
4-year-old climbing all over me. So
yeah, it's a little weird doing a podcast without a dog on my lap.
Without Mark's hat rack behind us.
I should have just gone to the shelter and got a dog. And then
or without my daughter doing an impression of me. She does an impression of me now.
Does she really?
Oh, yeah?
Yes, she goes, "I'm daddy. Where's the stories?" like I'm on the phone. I'm daddy.
My daughter will put on my shoes and walk around, and she's 9 now, but she'll go "Where's my coffee? Where's my coffee?" Because that's apparently what I do.
I love kids.
Yeah.
I hope to have some someday. All right.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.